Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome back to part 4 of The Sims 4 Speed Building a Medieval Fantasy Castle. So in this part we're going to be furnishing an area of the castle we in the architecture profession refer to as the back of the house. So this area basically is a part of the house you as a homeowner would never want your guests to see. So this area includes the servants' quarters, the dungeons, the armory, the cellar, the infirmary, and the public baths. So this video ended up being a little bit longer than the other ones, but we did end up getting a lot of stuff done. We did furnish the rest of the bedrooms in this castle, which is a total of 6 bedrooms, and it can sleep a total of over a dozen Sims, I believe. So it's a lot done in this part, but we are still working on, you know, some adjustments and some layouts and some floor plans in this castle. You guys also saw me partition a little area for what will be kind of like the flower garden as well, so I kind of like made a little spot out of that. The royal bedrooms actually overlook that garden, so I thought that that was a really good place for it. But the first bedroom that we're going to be working on is this one, which is actually going to be the priest slash wizard's bedroom. For some reason in my mind I just thought that the priest and the wizard was the same person. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's necessarily gonna work, but yeah, in my mind this is where the priest or wizard would stay because it is quite close to where the chapel is. So, you know, that kind of makes sense from a planning perspective to put it in a very convenient place in the castle. But yeah, I feel like the priest or like, you know what, I'm gonna call it the wizard because I like the sound of the wizard more. But I feel like the wizard is definitely like in charge of all of like the supernatural, holy stuff. I'm not really sure if wizards are that holy though, because something tells me they aren't. Because having played a lot of RPG games, I think the holy class of jobs is actually referred to as the paladin. Once again, that is a Warcraft reference. But yeah, that was the priest slash wizard's bedroom. This one bedroom right here, I imagine would be for the king's steward. I don't really know if they had stewards in the medieval period, but basically this is a bedroom for the king's right-hand man. So this person has their own bedroom, they have their own space, which I'd like to think presides over the rest of the servants' quarters, because being the steward, they would be the one to like oversee literally everything, like how the castle is run and make sure that everybody's doing their jobs correctly. So that's why I put it here, so that they can have a view of the courtyard and all of that good stuff. And then this is kind of like a barracks style servants room. There's 2 of these rooms that have 4 beds. Actually, for this room I was also able to fit in a cot as well. That is a sofa that looks like a really cheap bed. But I imagine this room for the male servants, or like for like, I don't know, maybe for like the soldiers that are also servants, because I feel like for a castle like this, for like a medieval castle like this, the male servants would also be soldiers as well. So in addition to having their own duties of being like footmen or valet, they would also like respond to a call to arms. Call to arms, that's another Warcraft reference. Every time you have like your base being under attack, like you can call all of the peasants to fight to defend your base, which is something that I imagine like would be a job for the servants. And then you guys also saw me furnish like another servant's quarters as well. I did imagine the male and the female servants to sleep separately because I feel like that just makes it a little bit more realistic. But right now we are working on one of only 2 bathing areas in this castle, and this one is actually the bathing area for the servants, which is why I refer to it as the public baths, because literally there is a bathtub inside of a room that has a closet. But I think it actually makes sense, like the look of it kind of reminds me of, you know, an actual bathhouse, so I kind of really like how it looks anyway. Like, I know for a fact that during the medieval period, people didn't really bathe that much because they had like a weird animosity towards water, because apparently there were a lot of pollution that time. So bathing in polluted water wasn't necessarily good for your health, so instead they wore really clean clothes. They wore white clothes, like white undergarments, which for them was like a symbol of cleanliness. But still, I wanted to include a bathhouse because it's The Sims and The Sims need to take baths. So yeah, my voice just cracked. Anyway, right now we're working on the armory, and I did place it here in the servants' quarters. You know what, I keep calling it the servants' quarters, but in reality I feel like it's more of a barracks, to be honest, because I feel like having the armory here makes sense, because once again, when the castle is under attack, like if we have like a surprise attack, the servants can just literally just go out of their room and just get their weapons from this barracks here. They can get the horses' saddles and, you know, get everything ready. I probably made it a little bit too messy though. Like, I feel like I should have arranged it a little bit better, but I don't know. I just really like the messy kind of like, you know, messed up look. I also put in some crates because I imagine those will be like containing gunpowder and stuff. So yeah, no candles allowed in this barracks, even though there are some candlelit chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. This is the only room actually in this video that we will be decorating the ceiling of. So yeah, I thought that it would be nice to have a decorated ceiling for this one. A lot of you guys really enjoyed the ceiling decorations actually, and I was like so excited because one of the sim gurus, I think it was sim guru Aaron Hoots, he complimented the ceiling decorations, and I was just like, I got so excited. I'm such a fan of all of the sim gurus, and to get their attention once in a while just makes my day. It actually makes my day. So that's pretty much it for that area underneath the royal apartments, which I'd like to call the barracks. So right now we're actually working on the staircase that leads to the dungeons, which is probably my least favorite part of the castle, simply because it is a dungeon. Like, who likes dungeons anyway? I don't. So I tried to kind of like finish this part as soon as I can. But yeah, the dungeon, I made it into like a very dark and dingy space. Surprisingly, I was able to use a lot of stuff from Get to Work, specifically those like jail metal bars, I guess, that came for the law enforcement profession. To be honest, I feel like I should have probably worked a little bit harder on the dungeon, but I kind of just wanted to get myself out of here. So it's really interesting though, but that the dungeon door, the door that leads to the dungeon, it's one of those ones that came with, I think, Get to Work. And it's one of those that has like the devil's face. It has like a demonic looking face, which for me kind of like gives the impression to anyone who gets imprisoned in the dungeon that their life is over pretty much. There's no windows. There's almost no light as well. Like, I think I put one candle sconce and that's it. But yeah, there are 3 jail cells. I don't really know like what the jail cells are for in The Sims 4. I should probably play with that a little bit more, because I did play with the law enforcement profession and Get to Work, but I don't think I've ever placed those jail railings, jail bars, in my house. Really interesting though, I also found this custom content dungeon set from ZXTA Tumblr. I put it there. It kind of creeped me out a little bit, to be honest, because they did have the skeletons. I'm like, do I really need like the skeletons in this build? Like, is this really wholesome? But yeah, I put them there because they were honestly like really funny. So I think off camera I also put like some cobwebs and some cracks on the walls and stuff like that. Making this dungeon reminded me so much of this little part in The Witcher 3 where they were rescuing one of the witches from the dungeon, and it makes me so emotional because that was a really sad part. Like, it was really sad. Whew. Wasn't it a really sad, like to those of you guys who played The Witcher, it was a really sad part. Anyway, this room right here is actually the warden's bedroom, which I put directly in the dungeon area because I wanted the warden to be able to keep an eye out on the prisoners. So I also put like a window overlooking the jail cells. I also put some keys as well, just to kind of like hammer in the fact that this is for the warden. Doing this kind of reminded me of the warden from Warcraft, Maiev Shadow Song. Oh my gosh, all of these references though. Does Maiev make an appearance in World of Warcraft? I wonder. Did anyone remember like all the drama involving Maiev and Tyrande Whisperwind? Ooh, those two are like super feisty and crazy. But right now we are kind of actually making some more adjustments to the outside of the castle. I decided to incorporate like a little hallway because I kind of just wanted to make a hallway that leads to the chapel. And yeah, I also put this little area for kind of like a clock tower. I also really enjoyed it as well. I don't know if clocks existed in the medieval period. Something tells me they didn't. But I really enjoyed doing this clock tower still. So yeah, a lot of you guys did point out that this build does come across more medieval fantasy than medieval, and I totally agree. I feel like if it were a medieval build, it would probably be a little bit more Renaissance anyway. Simply because of how like everything doesn't look so primitive. But yeah, we're just making adjustments over here to accommodate that little corridor hallway. I actually really like this room. This structure itself ends up becoming the kitchen area, and also above the kitchen we are furnishing the area for kind of like the herbalist. You know, this is gonna be called the hospital area, okay? So this is where the herbalist slash physician has her bedroom, and it's also where the infirmary, infirmary for the actual castle is located as well. So I found this really interesting item that actually works. It's kind of like this herbalist's table. Once again, it came from ZXTest Tumblr, or ZXTA. Once again, nobody has enlightened me on how to pronounce their name. It's such a mystery, but yeah, this is the herbalist table that I was talking to you guys about. It's actually a science, like, little table station, but I thought that it was so cool, so I had to, like, make a little spot for it. And yeah, a lot of the bookshelves and furniture items in this room has like some hanging herbs and stuff, so I felt like that really hammered in the whole herbalist aspect. And once again, I am putting in these chamber pots and all of that good stuff because that just made me really happy. All of these rooms actually in the servants' quarters, they are a little bit darker compared to like the royal bedrooms, because obviously they wouldn't have as much of a budget regarding the candles and stuff, because apparently those were really expensive. So they are quite dark. I really like the dark aesthetic though. It just makes everything look more realistic. Once again, this build hasn't yet been finalized, so if you guys would like everything to be brighter, please let me know so that I can add more lights when I package this lot for upload. And oh, by the way, speaking of feedback, for those of you guys who still haven't chimed in on the whole whether I am gonna separate the house tour video or not, the survey's still there. It looks like the separate video is winning, so I feel like I'm gonna end up making a completely separate house tour video in the end, but I think I'm gonna upload it on the same day of the last part, so I think this Thursday it should probably be up. So you guys keep your eye out for it. This is, by the way, the infirmary, so it has a couple of cots, which are sofas, and a little office area for our physician slash herbalist. But yeah, nothing too crazy. That was a really fun little area to actually furnish and decorate. But at this point, I think most of the bedrooms, or like, yeah, all of the bedrooms have been furnished already, and I say most if not all because there is another sort of bedroom, but not really. It's the bedroom in the gatehouse, which I didn't really consider as a bedroom because it didn't have any beds in it. It just has sofas. I also didn't consider the infirmary a bedroom as well because once again it didn't have beds, it only had sofas, and nobody really lives in the infirmary, so that's my thought process behind it. But I think the last room that we're going to be decorating in this part is this kind of like cellar, kind of like food ration storage area. So I feel like this is a really important area for a castle because they do need to have their provisions in case they were trying to fend off a siege. So I put as much stuff as I possibly can in this area, and I actually really like the effect of it. It's completely non-functional. You know, if we had like some wine making things, I would have probably put some, but nevertheless, I really like this area because it just makes it feel so much more realistic, having this, you know, like area specifically for food storage and like a little cellar. Placing it underground, I imagine would make it less susceptible to attacks and stuff, to like bombs and whatever, or like cannon fire. But yeah, there isn't much of a lighting in this area because I just kept it pretty much candlelit. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it for this episode actually, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. The last episode will be up tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.